Good morning. Thank you. Time is now 9:31 a.m. Today's date is Tuesday, September 20th, 2022. This is the time and place of the Montana Public Service Commission's regularly scheduled business meeting. I'll call this meeting to order. Would the other commissioners please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance? Flag the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, commissioners. All right, I would note for the minutes that Commissioner Pinocci, Commissioner Fielder, and myself are present in the Bollinger Room this morning. Commissioner O'Donnell is on vacation and Vice President Johnson is excused. We do have quorum this morning. All right, this will be the time and place for, well, I'm going to do announcements to changes to the agenda, just in case it affects public comment. I will note for the record that we are going to defer Well, those that are listening online, we are having a technical difficulty, which is what the delay is. Well, okay, so is the technical problem that they're not able to see us? That the audio is working? Okay, well, I would suggest we just proceed then, so long as audio is working. Any objection to that? Okay, well, let's move forward then. So as a recap, we have done the Pledge of Allegiance roll call, and we were just starting on announcements, changes to the agenda. There will be two changes to the agenda this morning. We are going to defer till next Tuesday, acting on docket 2022.07.078 Northwestern Energy's gas and electric general rate case. That'll be deferred to next Tuesday, and then just for public information, and the commission will not be meeting in closed session to discuss litigation this morning, which was work session item number 4. All right, with those announcements to changes to the agenda, this will be the time and place for public comment. Are there any public commenters in the room? Seeing none, are there any public commenters online? We're having more technical difficulties. We just Okay. And this President Brown, looks like we've tackled the most recent technical difficulties. So what we're going to do is we're going to start again with work session item number 1. We're not sure where we left off on that discussion, so it's better just to pick up. So work session item number 1 is docket 2022.04.051 Northwestern Energy's acquisition of Sleepy Hollow oil and gas assets. Mr. Reed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, Commissioners, the Commission is, I think, pretty familiar with the history of this docket. I can update you on the history of this order, which was submitted to us by Northwestern in August. It was also submitted to the Montana Consumer Council, which reviewed it and had no comments. They tacitly approved the order. There are a couple of changes that I would suggest. First, paragraph 22 is the same as paragraph 27 and more properly belongs at paragraph 27. So I would recommend that that paragraph be deleted. I would also recommend that paragraph 26 be deleted simply because the Commission does not itself have the authority under Montana law to decommission a gas pipeline system. And so I would be hesitant to include language talking about that in this order. With that having been said, the staff recommendation on this matter is that the Commission adopt this order and direct staff to make whatever clerical changes are necessary to bring this into our standard format.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. Is there a motion?
Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. I move to approve staff recommendations and the removal of paragraph 22 and 26, including any changes to various formatting that has to be done to the order. Thank you, Mr. President.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion, Mr. President.
Commissioner Fielder is seconded. Discussion? I have a question. Oh, Commissioner Fielder, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Okay. Mr. Reed, thank you for your work on this. As I recall from the hearing that was held in this matter, there were essentially 4 issues that we were determining before reaching today's point. One was that Northwestern's acquisition of Sleepy Hollow was in the public interest, and I believe that was not contested at hearing, correct?
Yes, Mr. President, that's correct.
Okay. And then the second one was Sleepy Hollow's. The question was Sleepy Hollow's customers will become Northwestern Energy's customers and on a date certain. And I don't believe that that was directly addressed either.
That is correct, although it is addressed in this order.
Very good.
President.
All right, that was my implicit question. If I remember correct, really, the 2 contested issues were whether any enforcement action would be taken against Northwestern for matters related to actions before the acquisition date, and that's addressed in this matter where we determined that there would be no enforcement, correct?
That's correct, Mr. President. That's in paragraph 24.
Very good. So as I recall, the main issue that was addressed at hearing was whether Northwestern Energy's incurred costs and future costs would be borne equally by all of Northwestern's natural gas customers, or whether it would be borne by the customers of Sleepy Hollow, if I correct.
That's correct, yes.
And so how does this order address that issue?
Let me find the paragraph. The matter is going to be brought in with Northwestern's rate case this year. That is essentially their costs. So if you look at paragraph 13 and 14, 13 addresses the cost for the 2022 to 2023 year. 14 addresses the cost for the 2023 to 2024 year. And 14 addresses the cost for the 2023 to 2024 year. 13 addresses the cost for the 2023 to 2024 year. 14 addresses the cost for the 2023 to 2024 year. 14 addresses the cost for the 2023 to 2024 year. 14 addresses the cost for the 2023 to 2024 year. 14 addresses the cost for the 2023 to 2024 year. 14 addresses the cost for the 2023 to 2024 year. 14 addresses the cost for the 2023 to 2024 year. 14 addresses the cost for the 2023 to 2024 year. 14 addresses the cost for the 2023 to 2024 year. 14 addresses the cost for the 2023 to 2024 year. 14 addresses the cost for the 2023 to 2024 year. 14 addresses the cost for the 2023 to 2024 year. 14 addresses the cost for the 2023 to 2024 year. infrastructure and easements. And 14 addresses other liens. Northwestern has not identified any other costs. So those will be brought into their entire rate review. It's my understanding that Northwestern does not establish or anticipate establishing a separate customer class for the Sleepy Hollow customers. So the cost would be borne by all customers. Although I would note that Ms. Heim is here and can more directly respond to these questions.
Ms. Heim, if you want to move forward, this is a bit unusual, but I would like clarification as to how that last issue in this docket was being or is being redressed.
Yes.
Ms. Heim,
Thank you, President Brown, Commissioners. So in our
please identify yourself.
I'm sorry, my name is Shannon Heim. I'm the Director of Regulatory Corporate Counsel at Northwestern Energy. In our rate review that we filed in August, we did include known and measurable expenses. And I believe it's discussed in the testimony of Andrew Durkin. And we did put those costs, spread those costs like all of our expenses for the system across all customers. So to the extent that, for example, the Montana Consumer Council thinks that a single customer class makes more sense, it serves the public interest better, it will be addressed in that docket.
Thank you, Ms. Heim. That's exactly the information I was looking for. So essentially, we're not addressing that issue as part of this order, but it will be addressed in a separate proceeding.
That's correct.
And MCC will have the opportunity to litigate or challenge that.
Yes.
Okay, with those questions being answered, I'm going to support Commissioner Pinocchi's motion. Additional discussion, Commissioner Fielder?
Just while we're on the subject, can I get a clarification on that? Cost spread amongst all gas customers or all Northwestern Energy customers?
President Brown, Commissioner Fielder, that's a very good question because it's a joint case. I in shorthand tend to refer to all of it, but you are absolutely right. It's gas customers. The expenses are related to natural gas and they will only be spread amongst the natural gas customers. And I did get a phone a friend help from one of my colleagues that it's actually in Jeff Brezina's testimony, not Andy Durkin's.
Thank you.
Commissioner Pinocchi?
Thank you, Mr. President. So the ratepayer and the power company want me to look out for their best interests. And I believe to do that, we have to ask the question in a bankruptcy. Sometimes creditors are told, tough luck. That's what a bankruptcy is all about. Have we done everything we can to see that any cost to the creditors is written off as the bankruptcy of the fault of a company outside the state of Montana? I don't want the ratepayers or a Montana company fixing somebody else's mistake. Is there more we could do there? Have we done everything we can to tell our creditors, go fly a kite? This is part of the bankruptcy.
Commissioner Pinocchi, I think it's fair to say that we have. There, at this point, any attempt that the commission might have to recover those costs would be something that I think would be akin to getting blood from a stone. I know that Ms. Heim can talk about Northwestern's attempts to, or Northwestern's conversations with the trustee and probably give a little more clarity on that note.
So President Brown, Commissioner Pinocchi, Northwestern did retain a bankruptcy attorney in Ohio to represent our interests, and that process is not yet complete. So it was sort of a two-step process, if you'll recall from the hearing, our hearing here, with the receiver was appointed by the state court at the direction of the bankruptcy court. And so that court has granted authority for us to enter into this agreement. Northwestern is a creditor. So the commission itself is not a creditor. The the utility doesn't owe money to the commission as far as I know. But it does owe money to Northwestern for gas, for the limited operating agreement, for some of the metering charges at the metering station. And those Northwestern will in its first instance be trying to recover those in the bankruptcy court once the only thing Sleepy Hollow had of value it could sell, the shop and the real estate property. When they sell that, there will be some money in that bankruptcy estate. And so Northwestern will file a claim in that process and try to minimize what obligations might be spread across Northwestern's natural gas customers, because it'll be bad debt to us. It may have to be written off. And the way that my understanding is that works is then it's spread in the rate review. So it will be under further review, but it gets captured in the rate review. But we know that that's an issue, and we will try to capture all of the debt that we can. It was a difficult situation because one of the debts they continued to accumulate was for natural gas. But if we stopped their natural gas and stopped accumulating that bad debt, the system would fail. So we were in a position not to do that until this docket was resolved.
Follow up, Mr. Chairman. Follow up. It's certainly my intention to make sure Northwestern Energy is made whole because we're asking you to take over the company. I should have been a little more clear. Is there other debt that is not falling on Northwestern that we could try to avoid going to the ratepayer while getting Northwestern paid, because they're taking over this awesome responsibility moving forward with this company? Can someone tell me how much debt is involved that is not connected to Northwestern Energy?
So this is Shannon Heim for Northwestern again. We've been involved in the bankruptcy case. I have advised commission legal staff just as a matter of interest what's happening, but we've been more directly involved. So I will maybe answer that question. The only debt that would fall to the ratepayer, we're not buying the company, just the assets, just these natural gas assets, so that we are not taking any of the other outstanding debt. One of the issues of debt that was raised at the hearing, though, was we were worried about the potential of liens being assessed by Fergus County. In the state court action, Fergus County, we worked with Fergus County, and they also hired Ohio counsel, put in an appearance and made a filing with the court that they do not believe their liens extend, and they don't intend to extend those liens to the assets themselves, only to that Sleepy Hollow shop and real estate property, which is fantastic for us and for our ratepayers, because then that debt won't fall to us and we don't have to worry about how do we account for that. So there is other debt. This utility was defunct and had not paid its bills to anyone. But that debt is not coming along with the assets. So in a lot of ways, this is working out as well as it could have for these customers, because they'll continue to get service. They have a reliable utility to actually run the system. And the only debt that comes along is the debt of the utility.
So the next question I should bring out, so the ratepayer knows I'm looking out every avenue. Could there have been, or possibly is there, an insurance policy that may cover when we have a company fall in this situation? Could there have been insurance company that may have been required to be responsible in the event something like this happened? And should we have maybe an attorney specializing in insurance review all the policies to see if there couldn't possibly be any coverage available?
So if you don't mind if I take that one also, we did look at what insurance coverage was available when we entered into the limited operating agreement, because we were basically acting as an agent of the receiver and we needed them to continue to insure the system itself. The company was so defunct, they had not really kept their insurance in good standing. the receiver did step up, and they have very basic insurance on the system itself, which will terminate when our insurance takes over when we close on the purchase agreement. In my experience, there is rarely insurance that covers a bankruptcy like this. It's just not part of what you insure against. And even if you had, you would have had to have paid the premiums in order to get the benefit. And I am certain that Sleepy Hollow did not do that.
Thank you. No more questions.
Good questions. Commissioner Pannocci, Commissioner Fielder.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes. I'd like to once again thank Northwestern Energy and our staff for stepping in and being proactive in this situation and hoping to bring it to a happy ending, hopefully. There was one outstanding issue. I was just wondering if you could fill me in or fill the commission in on what has transpired with the employees that were keeping the plant open and not being paid by the prior company and that type of thing.
Thank you, President Brown, Commissioner Fielder. My understanding from the receiver is that there were two employees. There was a office manager, secretarial administrative staff, and then there was a worker who was doing a lot of the maintenance and the work on the system itself. They very early on, they had clear records from their administrative staff, and as soon as Northwestern read the meters and that provided some cash flow, because then the receiver did all the billing, but we provided the meter reads so that they could do that work. Once they had some cash flow, they immediately settled with the administrative employee. The other employee was a little trickier because he didn't provide as clear of records, but the records he provided, they did pay him. He's, I think now is paid in full. There might be one small issue still outstanding between the receiver and that employee, but as in the macro, both of those employees were taken care of.
Thank you.
All right. Any additional questions? Thank you, Ms. Heim. Okay, all those in favor of Commissioner Pannocci's motion to adopt the final order, but as amended, as per Commissioner Pannocci's motion, signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed, seeing no opposition, motion carries 3-0 or unanimously. All right, thank you. Mr. Reed, are you doing the next one too? Okay. Okay. Work session item number 2. This is docket 2021.09.117. This is Montana Dakota Utilities. This is MDU's 2021 Integrated Resource Plan. We're here to discuss issuing comments in response to MDU's 2021 Integrated Resource Plan. Mr. Dalton.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President, and good morning, commissioners. Before you this morning is a set of draft comments for the commission to consider issuing in response to MDU's 2021 Integrated Resource Plan. MDU filed its 2021 Integrated Resource Plan, or IRP, with the commission on September 15, 2021. On October 14, 2021, the commission opened this docket to provide notice of the filing and receive public comment on the IRP. Montana Code Annotated 69-3-1205 requires the commission to review the IRP, provide the public with a minimum of 60 days to file written comments, and to hold 2 public meetings to receive comment on the IRP. The statute also allows the commission to issue written comments on the IRP, but it is not required. The commission has already met its statutory obligation with regard to receiving public comment on the IRP. Staff has reviewed the 2021 IRP and believes that it generally complies with the commission planning guidelines. The document in front of you today is split into 3 sections. The first summarizes the 2021 IRP and its results. The second section summarizes the public comments that the commission received to the 2021 IRP. And the third section provides some comments from the commission for MDU to keep in mind, keep in mind as it prepares this next plan. Staff worked with commissioners to prepare the commission comments. The draft comments were distributed to commissioners last week, so I will not review every aspect of them this morning unless the commission wants me to. And this morning, staff is recommending that the commission direct staff to convert the draft into a final document and issue the comments. That concludes my introduction, Mr. President, and I'm available for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton. Is there a motion? Commissioner Pennell?
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we support staff recommendations.
I
For a
will
second?
second the motion.
Commissioner Fielder has seconded the motion. Discussion. Commissioner Fielder.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. As I recall, I think it was my motion here a few weeks ago that the commission adopted to take the staff's draft comments as a starting point, an accepted starting point, and then to work with commissioners. So thank you, Mr. Dalton, for incorporating those comments from commissioners. I think that you did a good job working those in. My question was, I know that the MDU representative was sitting in the room when we made that action a few weeks ago, and he asked for a copy of our draft comments. Did he get that? And did he have anything to add or any issues?
Mr. President, Commissioner Fielder, I did send them to both Mr. Green, who I believe you're referring to, as well as Darcy Nijam at MDU, who heads up their planning exercises. I heard back from Darcy. He said he didn't have any major issues or any issues with the commission comments. I didn't hear back from Mr. Green, but both of them did receive a copy.
Okay, thank you. I was just wondering if they had weighed in, and sounds like they sort of have, but not substantively really at this point. So I think we're in good shape. So thank you.
Additional discussion, comments? I'd just like to commend you and Mr. Dalton and the commission staff for the great work that you've put in to this. I think it's a very solid document, and I think the commission comments are right on point and cogent. So thank you for your work. Additional discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor of Commissioner Pinocchi's motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed signify by saying no. Seeing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Dalton. Okay, as announced earlier, work session item number 3, which is docket 2022.07.078, Northwestern's general rate case request for an interim rate has been deferred to the next commission of business meeting, which will be held Tuesday, September 27th. And the litigation status update, which has been publicly noticed, that was noticed up as a closed meeting, will not be occurring this morning. Seeing no further business coming before the commission this morning, the time is now 10:06 a.m. and I will